What's up YouTube, Ben Bon here and welcome to another video. This is an editing bench video where I go through the photos that I got on location or studio with you guys so that I explain to you the lighting and the technique I use in getting the photo. The other reason that I do this kind of videos is that sometimes I don't have enough behind the scenes footages for you guys to watch, so I decided to just go through the photos and explain to you how I was able to achieve the shot. Shout outs to my wife for putting together this space and setup for me. This is going to be the spot where I'll be doing my talking head videos or vlogs. Thank you, baby. Anyway, let me take you guys to my editing bench and I hope you enjoy. So welcome to my editing bench. As usual, this is one of my favorite shoots I did for a client. She had an idea of how she wanted this shoot to be like. In fact, she gave me a reference image. She wanted to have all of this sort of paparazzi kind of concept. As usual, her outfit and makeup and look was on point as always. So basically this was the setup. This is the VILTROX AD200 pointing to the backdrop. So this is a canvas backdrop. We shot this in the studio. I had to bring this prop in there. The reference photo that she sent me was sort of an outdoor shoot, but I decided to do it in the studio. So it was basically a 2-light setup. The VILTROX AD200 pointed to the backdrop, and then the main light was the VILTROX AD600 on camera right. This LED here was for the video, so that's why it was at that angle, but it wasn't having any significant effect on the photo because I was shooting at closed up aperture. Like I think the final shot I shot around f7.1, yeah, so the light coming from the LED light wasn't having any effect on there. So these are some of the shots that I was able to get, and as I said, it was basically a 2-light setup. The main light in a beauty dish softbox on the camera right, which was the VILTROX AD600, and then when you look behind them, you can see that there's a gradient behind them, and that was the VILTROX AD200 pointed to the backdrop to give that gradient and also separate them from the backdrop. And as you already know, I always do the Rembrandt sort of lighting. It's always Rembrandt lighting for me. So as you can see in her eyes, the main light hitting on camera right and falling over to the other side, creating the Rembrandt triangle. And also it's the same light that is hitting all of the models. That same one light on camera right is the same light hitting all of them. So depending on how you position your lighting, you could be able to shoot about 5 people in one shot and have one light hitting all of them at the same time. The camera I used for this particular shoot was the Fujifilm X Pro 2, and I used the VILTROX 85mm, which is my favorite portrait lens. And I decided to shoot at a closed-up aperture, like from f7.1 upwards, because it's 5 people in the shot and all of them are equally important in the shot, even though it's about the main subject, but all of them need to be sharp. So I needed to shoot at an aperture that will have all of them sharp enough. The light behind them was quite important because it separated them from the backdrop and also rimmed them. So I think when I started the shot, I was trying to use the LED light as a rim light, but as I said, with the aperture that I was shooting, it wasn't having any significant effects, and so I decided to just go with only the Godox 8200 behind them as a way to separate them from the backdrop. So this is just the Godox 8200 behind them hitting the backdrop, and see how it separates them and gives that illumination or gradient behind them. And this is when I add the Godox AD600 on camera right in this softbox. Also, like, I was lucky enough that I could use the 85 in the studio, because the studio was a big studio that I could be able to use the 85, and the 85 was the best lens choice because it's sort of compress all of them together in a good way. Because like if I use the wide lens, the compression wouldn't be that flattering for all of them. It sort of brought all of them on the same level. So this is basically how I took this shot. It was, as you can see, a really simple setup. It's basically the same setup from like all of my shoots. One light hitting the model on one side, and if like there's a need to add another light, I use that as a rim or a backlight to separate them in whichever way I want them. Also makes me wonder the kind of mood I could have achieved if this was done on location. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.